It would be James and his wife, Mandy's first home they bought. They had both saved up enough money to finally purchase the house. They considered it their dream house. It was spacious and had a back garden for their future kids. But they would soon discover that their dream house was the stuff nightmares are made of. James and Mandy Fisher were married for 5 years when they finally bought their dream home. They decided to settle in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania with their dog, Scout. It took a long time to finally find something they were both happy with. But when they saw the house from the inside, Mandy couldn't contain her excitement. But the happiness would soon turn into sadness for the couple. It was moving day, and James and Mandy had packed up their belongings from the apartment they had rented. They were overjoyed to be leaving. They only had a few boxes, but they vowed to fill their new house with all the things they wanted and loved to make it a home they could cherish. When they stepped into the front door, they were met with something unusual. They couldn't believe how much space they had. It was 2 floors, and on the second floor were all the bedrooms. On the ground floor were the kitchen, living room, and home office. Mandy was so happy about finally having a kitchen big enough to cook all their favorite meals. Then she noticed something strange. There was a floor hatch in the kitchen. She hadn't noticed it before when the realtor took them on a tour of the house. It could have been because there was a table over it. But then she saw that it was bolted shut with a lock. She showed James, and they made a plan to try and open it to see what was beneath the kitchen floor. Mandy saw that there was something behind an antique cupboard that was left behind by the previous owner. It clearly made Scout uncomfortable, and he started growling. The realtor mentioned the house belonged to a childless elderly lady. Mandy found the antique cupboard in need of a fresh varnish. Upon moving it, she made a peculiar discovery. Recognizing the age of the house, Mandy observed that, while well-maintained, it required some touch-ups. Some floorboards needed sanding and revarnishing. Despite loving the Victorian aesthetic, she knew renovations were necessary, especially after finding a locked door behind the cupboard. Over the next weeks, Mandy searched for the key to the mysterious door in the kitchen and the antique cupboard's drawers, but found nothing. As they settled in after moving, they encountered a foul smell in their bedroom, forcing them to relocate due to the unpleasant odor. The smell persisted, prompting James to investigate the heating system as a potential cause. James realized the smell coincided with the heating system, affecting both the main and guest bedrooms. Preparing to check all vents, he braced himself for the unpleasant task of uncovering the source of the mysterious odor that permeated the entire house. James, realizing he needed professional help, discovered a key inside a vent in the home office. The vintage-looking silver key was identified by Mandy as belonging to the door behind the antique cupboard in the kitchen. When they opened the door, they encountered something terrifying. Before exploring the basement, Scout's incessant barking in the living room drew their attention. They went down with flashlights, leaving Scout behind due to his fear. In the basement, they found wine barrels, antique furniture, chests, and framed pictures. While exploring, Mandy remembered the floor hatch mystery in the kitchen. James found a crowbar in the basement, which they used to open the hatch. Inside was strange jars, a box with old recipes, and something remarkable that James picked up. Despite the small size of the storage nook, it contained unexpected items, suggesting the kitchen's history had taken a sour turn over the years. Scout's continued growling added to the eerie atmosphere. James discovered original blueprints of the house dating back to 1887 in the mysterious box found in the basement. They decided to examine it after dinner, but were left with doubts about their decision to buy the house. While Mandy cooked, a strange feeling enveloped her, questioning their choice. During dinner preparation, Scout's sudden howling drew their attention. A rotten smell returned, this time in the kitchen, despite James not using the heating system. Concerned, they contacted the realtor, who confirmed the recent cleaning and the new heating system. Their minds considered supernatural explanations, reminiscent of horror movies. Uneasy, they ate dinner in the dining room, but couldn't enjoy it due to the persistent odor. Frustration escalated when James slammed his fist on the table. Despite Mandy's reassurance, They couldn't sleep peacefully. The mystery lingered, unsettling both the couple and their dog. Mandy woke up in the night, discovering James engaged in a peculiar activity downstairs. James sprayed air fresheners, intending to investigate in the morning. The couple regretted buying the house, waking unrested. Seeing Mandy distressed, James tried to cheer her up. They relaxed in the living room, examining the box from the floor hatch, and planned to inspect the house plans. Comparing old blueprints with the realtors, they found differences. Scout's barking intensified, prompting James to investigate a corner. Beneath a lifted carpet, they discovered another vent, absent from the new blueprint. Remembering the key found earlier, James wondered if this vent held secrets, but it was rusted shut, presenting a new challenge. Like a madman, he chiseled at it, and even tried using a blowtorch while Mandy sat on the couch scared. It seemed as if the vent had become a dark obsession for her husband. He couldn't bear the smell any longer and snapped as a result. He tried all of his tools while Mandy sat, trying to muster up enough courage to stop him. She finally got off the couch and put her hand on James's shoulder. "Honey, it's okay. Let's get someone else to handle this for us." James collapsed into his wife's arms. He reluctantly conceded and called professionals, but they would only arrive the next morning. The prospect of spending another night in the house without figuring out what was going on scared them both. That night, Mandy woke up again. To her horror, her husband was out of bed again. She knew exactly where he was. He was looking into the vent like a lunatic. Mandy slowly approached him and coaxed him back to bed. She knew things had to end now. The next morning, James called in professionals immediately. They needed to check if there wasn't anything in the vent as he couldn't open it. It might be an infestation or a dead rodent inside. They came in 30 minutes, equipped with everything needed to pry open the vent. When they eventually managed to open it, they made a gruesome discovery that made their blood run cold. They found various jars with putrid liquids in them, and most disturbingly, several animal carcasses and bones. James and Mandy were uneasy. This is what Scout was barking at, and the jars were causing the smell. What did this mean? Mandy wondered if their house was used for rituals and sacrifices, and she didn't want to live there anymore if that was the case. Then the maintenance man then told them it wasn't as unusual as they thought. He told them that he and his team found these all the time in the old Victorian houses. It was Pennsylvania's tradition of ritual healing known as powwow. He said they used animal carcasses to combine elements of religion and belief with health and healing. It seems the old lady who lived here needed healing, but James and Mandy decided that it was best to remove the jars and carcasses so that the smell could disappear and they can continue to live normal lives so that Scout can be at ease.